meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
Okay, calling the Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board meeting to order. Today is February 11th, Wednesday. We're going to start off with our first point of order. We have the emergency responder monthly report. So do we have anybody from HFD, Honolulu Fire Department, online or in person? Thank you. Aloha.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Captain Scott Cottamoto from the Kahalu'u Fire Station. The stats for January, we had 1 structure fire, 2 activated alarms, no fire, 42 medical needs. Our safety tip of the month, the Honolulu Fire Department reminds the public to call 911 first if you have an emergency. Do not drive to the fire station nearest to your location. It is very possible the fire company will not be at the fire station due to responding to other emergencies or performing other duties such as fire inspections, training, and educational activities. When you call 911, the operator will dispatch the closest available fire company to your emergency. Remember, when calling 911, to give the operator your initial need, police, fire, EMS, and after you've been transferred to the appropriate agency, the accurate description of your need and your address/location. The HFD is also able to field 911 text messages. If you find yourself in a spot where you do not have good reception for voice communication, I can text emergency to 911. Is there any questions, concerns?
Any questions from board members in person? Board members online? Community in person? Community online? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Moving on to Honolulu Police Department. Do you have anybody from HPD? In person or online? Okay, see, now we're going to go ahead and move on. We have filling of vacancies on the board. We have Subdistrict 6. We have 1 vacancy. Is there anyone here to represent Subdistrict 6 or nominate Subdistrict 6 representatives? Seeing none in person, any online? Seeing none, we'll defer that to next meeting. We have the election of officers. We have second vice chair. Would anyone like to nominate themselves or another board member as second vice chair? Anyone interested? Any discussion on the position? Board members online? Okay, so moving on. We're going to move on to city, state, federal reports. We have Mayor Rick Blangiardi's office. Is Warren? Was it Warren?
Aloha, good evening. Warren Mamizuka, Deputy Director for the Department of Facility Maintenance. All right. Just wanted to touch bases on just a couple of the mayor's newsletter from last month or this month's newsletter. So the Honolulu Fire Department celebrates 175 years of service. Also, Ocean Safety Department hired their new deputy chief, Jimmy Barros. And then, something that happened in December, I think I mentioned this last month, the city launches the new and improved HNL 311 system. So, that's where, you can you can go on HNL 311 and, report a pothole, uplifted sidewalks and whatnot. Yeah, so that's where you go. All right. Moving on to responses from last month. We actually have four items. The first one is DPP. The board is requesting a presentation of this information at the next meeting. To contact the chair and set up a presentation, please contact Parker Spencer. Okay, so DPP, their response, on January 28, 2026, the Department of Planning and Permitting Division Chief reached out to Mr. Parker Spencer via email. As of yet, Mr. Spencer has not responded. Please have constituent contact Dawn Kimura, and she is the Chief of Building Safety. You can reach her at 808-768-8121, and her email is dkimura@honolulu.gov. Rachel, could you please put that in the chat, please? Second item, second issue for item 1 is a solar permitting issue for multi-unit structures. So board members requesting urgent action on a solar permitting issue that has prevented multi-unit structures from obtaining solar installation permits. And she asked why the mayor's office hasn't created guidelines with the Department of Planning and Permitting for multi-unit solar installations. And the answer to that is filing instructions can be clean energy projects and is available on the DPP website. If you could, Rachel, add that link. Second question to this is, who is the contact person for follow-up? Once again, this is Dawn Kimura. And, her phone number, once again, 808-768-8120. Third, whether guidelines can be implemented by month's end. Guidelines already exist on the website address previously provided above. So that's item 1. Moving on to issue number 2. Bridge in front of Sunshine Gallery concern. Can a speed hump be installed or any other safety measure to prevent speeding? A resident expressed that construction was done on the bridge multiple times due to the speeding. And the response that we have is, please refer this request to the State of Hawaii Department of Transportation for review and response to this action. Let me see. And the second part to this issue is the frame of the bridge still strong? This should be referred to the governor's rep, HDOT rep, or any state legislator. All right, moving on to issue number 3, traffic notice. Is it possible to receive notices to prepare the residents for traffic relating to any road work, detours, etc. in the future? And the response is from DTS, Transportation Services. DTS attempts to provide notice of roadwork to affected residents and businesses through flyers, mailer, press releases, or social media. Recent roadwork in the community may have been performed by a non-city agency or utility company. And lastly, final issue, shelters for war. What are the nearest shelters if a war would occur? A resident shared that Kaneohe was the only city that was attacked in World War I and II. And the NCO made note, the Department of Emergency Management needs an extension for to respond next month. So please keep this on the agenda for March. And that's all I have as far as mayor's response. So any questions?
Any questions from board members in person relating to any of the items mentioned from the mayor's office?
I do.
Go ahead.
So regarding the solar,
Yeah.
I did pass on some information to one of the office, I can't remember her name, with regarding to the solar.
Mhm.
And I provided some information to them of denial letters from DPP. So if they're saying that the guidelines are there, then they're not explaining, because it's a general
Mhm.
conversation they're having or statement, and that's to everybody that you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So I have the denial letter. I passed it on to one of the councilmen, and so we'll see what happens from there, but I'm going to call them tomorrow
Okay.
to find out. Thank you.
Mahalo. Any other members in person? Members online? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Warren.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Oh, community in person, any questions, concerns? Community online? Okay, mahalo. Moving on to, we have Councilmember Esther Kia Ina's office. Do we have Kim online?
Aloha.
Aloha.
Actually, This is the council member. Good
Hello,
evening,
council member.
everyone. Last month, I had mentioned that I would be introducing a resolution for an amendment to the land use ordinance relating to agritourism use, which would require a major conditional use permit as opposed to a minor conditional use permit. I held a hearing most recently, which passed out of the zoning committee, and it will be on tap next week, Wednesday, February 18th at 10 a.m. for final consideration by the full council. With a major conditional use permit, it automatically would require notification both to the neighborhood board as well as a public hearing. There was another measure relating to requiring a minor use permit be going to, for agritourism to go to the neighborhood board. Regrettably, that did not pass and the committee, but what I'm hoping to do is that after this goes to the planning commission, I have assurances by the Department of Planning and Permitting when they make their recommendations back to the city council after the planning commission, that they would ensure that they figure out how to reconcile when a permit should just need a minor permit versus a major. And as many of you know, one of the reasons for this action was because of the Kahalu'u project, the gondola project on the North Shore. While there was a hearing earlier this month, the decision by DPP on whether to revoke it has been extended by 30 days to 60 days. And I'm pleased about that because there was a lot of testimony. The developer finally agreed with DPP to allow for further time to consider it. And that's all I have to report, Chair. I just wanted to let everybody know that this amendment, this resolution will be considered next week, Wednesday. Thank you.
Mahalo nui. Can you hear us okay? Just want to do a sound check. Can you hear us okay, council member?
Yes, I can.
Okay, right on. Can we go to questions from members in person? We'll go vice chair and then member Bender.
Mahalo, council member. Who will be holding the SMA major permit hearings after they come to the board? Who will be holding the public hearing? DPP?
You mean for the major? There will be a separate public hearing, but they automatically must go to the neighborhood board. So it will be simultaneous. So the
Okay.
major would require, this is for the conditional use permit now, yeah, not SMA. So it
Okay.
would require an independent hearing by DPP, a public hearing, but it will also require them going to the neighborhood board.
Okay, mahalo.
Member Bender. Question.
Hi, so my question was about charter amendments. I understand it's time to think about charter amendments. And I wondered how the average person could suggest to you a possible change in the city charter.
Okay, I need to let you know that it's not too late, but have you been following the last couple of months?
Well, actually, in the last two meetings, I mentioned to you and to also another council person, a specific charter change that would change the way that the salary commission automatically approves salary increases for almost all the attorneys at Corp Council and all the attorneys in the prosecutor's office, and also all the city council people. And as you know, that automatically becomes, a salary increase in the way the charter is written now. And I wondered if you would consider taking up a change to that so that it isn't automatic that salaries go up because the charter amendment, because the city
Okay.
charter recommends it. In other words, if you guys don't vote against your own salary increase, it automatically comes in. And I was asking not once, but twice, and maybe even 3 times ago about a charter amendment that could change that for all time.
Actually, we no longer have a say with regard to voting or not voting. In the last election, there was a charter amendment. And so it would tag it based on the percentage of the rates for the unions. So if you don't mind, I'm sorry, I don't recall this. I do know that I had let everybody know about my charter amendment with regard to the Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund to add historic preservation. That is moving forward. I think it may be too late right now to try to propose a new amendment, but are you aware that you yourself could have proposed the amendment to the Charter Commission?
So we haven't had a number of meetings and you guys haven't told us, but I guess most people have never even read the city charter and they don't understand that that's really the way that the game is played and that,
Oh,
you know,
okay, so a couple
when
of
you
things.
when you introduce an amendment to the city charter, it's almost always voted in.
Actually, not necessarily, because most recently, 2 elections ago, the community had voted down a modification to the Affordable Housing Fund. So having said that, Kim is on. Can I commit to you that I will have a phone call or a Zoom call with you directly? Is that okay?
As long as it's shared with all of the other neighborhood board members sitting around our table.
Okay, absolutely. But first of all, I feel like you have to um, be very specific on your proposal. Just bringing it up, just like this at the neighborhood board meeting. I don't remember you proposing this to me. And so I am
I
open
think I
to
mentioned it to
considering it.
Matt.
Council member, we'll go ahead and we'll work with you to put any kind of meeting together if we want to work on any kind of bill.
But I
and
also
then-
want, to say this, that this is a charter commission that's held every 10 years. It doesn't mean that you or anybody else can propose a charter amendment at any time. It doesn't have to be just when a charter commission is held. Okay? I just want to let you guys know that. Thank you.
Mahalo nui. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Councilmember Kia'aina's office? Members in person? Members online? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember. Community in person? Community online? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Councilmember. Next up, we have Councilmember Matt Wire's office. Is Chelsea online?
Hi, aloha. This is Leitani. On behalf
Hey,
of
Leitani.
Councilmember Wire, filling in for Chelsea tonight.
Aloha.
Aloha. I just have a few updates, so I'll be quick. I was gonna provide an update on the gondola project because I know how many in the community have been tracking this, but Councilmember Kia'aina provided a very thorough update. So I'll just mahalo her for providing the update and for introducing Resolution 17, which was the reso she mentioned. And for taking very seriously the issue of these conditional use permits for agritourism across our island. I'll just mention one policy-related bill that we introduced earlier this year, Bill 4, which would increase pre-construction subsidies and post-construction grants for affordable rental housing projects under Chapter 32 within the Honolulu ordinances. So within this context, this would be for projects where 80% of the units are rented to 100% area median income or below, with rent at rate limits established by HUD for no less than 15 years. These incentives are crucial to help offset rising construction costs and to support the smaller projects, housing projects that come under the Chapter 32. Bill 4 passed first reading in January and is referred to the Committee on Zoning and Planning. With that, I'll put our links to our newsletters into the chat, but also happy to take any questions or comments back to Council Member.
Mahalo, Leitani. Any questions for Councilmember Matt Wire's office from community, from members in person? Members online? Community in person? Community online? Okay, mahalo, Leitani. Thank you very much.
Mahalo.
Moving on to Board of Water Supply, we have Barry Usagawa. No Barry? Okay, we'll come back to Board of Water Supply. We're going to move on to Governor Josh Green's office. Is Jenna here? Hi, Jenna.
Hi, everyone. Jenna Siegel here on behalf of the governor's office. So for this month, I've handed out the February edition of the governor's newsletter. It focuses on Governor Green's final State of the State address of his last term on January 26th. or of his first term on January 26th. He spoke about lowering the cost of living, housing production, healthcare expansion, Maui recovery, and more. The newsletter also includes information on the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation's Hale Kama'aina mortgage program, which offers competitive rates, often lower interest rates than typical market programs, and it's designed to assist first-time homebuyers who need a lower monthly mortgage payment, but may also provide down payment assistance. And a couple other things I wanted to highlight outside of the newsletter include a virtual community sharing meeting to discuss the Hawaii Tourism Authority's draft destination management action plan. That's for Oahu on February 18th from 10 to 11 a.m. And you can register for the virtual meeting on the event page of the Hawaii Tourism Authority's website. And secondly, a great way to share any input with the governor's office is engage.hawaii.gov. This is a quick way to share input and get any answers to questions you might have. And then I wanted to follow up on a couple of questions and concerns brought up last month. First of all, I also handed out a list of resources on immigration advocacy and assistance. This is just brought up because there was a concern last month regarding ICE, so I wanted to hand those out I received from the Attorney General's office. And then to follow up on the emergency shelters, I did reach out to HIEMA and the Department of Defense regarding a map of emergency shelters or any guidance for natural disasters or any war-related events. I received the response from both that shelters are open and run by the city and county. I also contacted the city's Department of Emergency Management, but haven't received a response yet. So I would recommend referring this to the city's representative. And then I think, yeah, that's all. So if there are any questions, happy to take them back to the governor's office.
Mahalo. Any questions for the governor's office from members in person? Board members on, oh, Uncle Rick, go ahead.
Had a couple of things. On the highway, Kahikili Highway and then Kamehameha Highway coming through Kaneohe Town, many of the manholes there, there's a place that I think the city purchases the little risers that they can get and remove the cover, put the riser, and then repave around it, because you just go down the highway and it's da-dunk, da-dunk, and I've had a lot of people complain about that. Item number 2 is this mud pit that happens every time we get a rain, and I would assume that that area is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Transportation. And you know, I'll also add that we're the only county in this state that does not have a raceway park. Hilo has one. I think Kona has one. I think Maui has one. Kauai has one. People want to do these kinds of activities. We should be providing a place where they can do it and not damage, put more mud in the bay. So if someone could kind of look into that, that'd be great. Mahalo.
I'll definitely look into it. Mass DOT.
Mahalo, Uncle Rick. Any other questions, concerns from members in person? Board members online? Okay, seeing none. Community members in person? Community online? Okay, mahalo nui. We're going to move on. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jenna. We're going to move on to Senator Brenton Awa's office. Is Senator online with us tonight, or Elizabeth? Okay.
Yep, I'm on, Chair.
Hey, aloha.
Aloha, members. Nice job. I haven't been to one for a minute here. It's been a busy time today. We're in the thick of things. I'll just get into a couple bills. We killed some bills today. We also passed some bills today. One of them, you guys might find interest to, Farmers May. There's a ban out of Senator Gabbard's office, trying to exactly that, ban neonicotinoids. In the previous 3 years, I voted against it just because we have farmers down in like Kahalu'u area who are doing papaya trees, and there's no other. There's also neonicotinoids in like the dog collars for the flea medication and whatnot. But this time, seeing over this past summer how much the government both the state and the city has been relying on this specifically to inject our coconut trees with, because they've been getting hit with the coconut rhinoceros beetle. For us, it was kind of like, hey, enough already. We're relying on this too much. So we're passing this. So we passed that today. You guys can look more into that or ask questions if you have. But every day, we're, like I said, we're in the thick of it over there. Outside of the legislative session, our Kahalu'u tree project's going well. 2 years ago, we just hit the 2-year mark at the start of the year. And most of our ulu trees are already giving fruit. We went from trees to 301 trees, including all the banana, and we're still planting. It's going well. And then recently, our Genki project, I know there's a presentation later, but our Genki project, the pilot, that came to an end at the end of January. We had the 4 area elementary schools involved, and we heard the criticism. There was a lot of support. We heard the criticism, and so we were going to actually stop it. But then we got a call just like last week, 2 weeks ago, time's flying, from Blue Water Task Force, and they were telling us, hey, this is the cleanest that we've seen in a long time. So they went back to look at the research, and we've yet to get their data to announce their findings. But just off of that, there was a donor who said, hey, we want to extend this project for a year. And Keahi Akahoe, the canoe club, in a company with us, they're going to take it over. So we're going to transition it to them. So that's going to be ongoing. We'd love to open it up. Like I said, I know HPU is coming up later, but if they would like, I'm going to jump off, but if they would like to come and be a part of testing or helping the project, I know they had their concerns, so we'd love to involve them. There's some of things going on. I'll be here for a little bit for questions. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Senator. Any questions from board members in person? Uncle Rick, go ahead.
Mahalo, Brenton. While you bring up the subject of CRB, I think it's widely known that the CRB originated from operations at Hickam Air Force Base. And so while we are currently in talks with further military presence here, I would think that we should be actively soliciting for some funds from Air Force, any of the branches, to help fund the eradication or fix of this rhinoceros beetle, because you go down Kahana Bay, it looks like a war zone. You go down to Haleiwa, it looks like a war zone. It's just terrible, and people are just giving up. And it looks like when they hit our those royal palms we have, I have to cut those down because it's just too expensive to treat each tree at $50 every 3 months. So if you might consider, your fellow senators might consider looking into that, that would be much appreciated. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Uncle Rick. Any other
you made a
questions,
good point.
comments?
Real quick, and I'll just follow up to that, Chair. Yes, there's no solution. We know that we only should do our best to prevent. But I don't know if anybody came to this board and explained the ADC. They are about. They told us, I think about a month ago. They told us they're about a year away. So light at the end of the tunnel from being able to have the containment needed. They'll set it up in Wahiawa, where they can start testing the virus that New Zealand used to get theirs under control. So we actually have a timeline on that now, where last year we thought it could be 3 years. So a little bit of better news on that front.
Mahalo, Senator. Thank you very much. Any other members in person? Questions or concerns for Senator Awa's office? We have Uncle Ken online. Go ahead.
Along the same line of species being brought to Hawaii, the Guam tree snake issue is constantly being watched. If we can get somebody to report on that, the legislature, and then report to us, or we can get it through the news. How's the Air Force doing with that? I know they have tried to deal with it, but we do see the tree snakes coming through occasionally. So just a report on that would be nice. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Ken. Yeah, we'll work with Senator's office to try and get that over to you. Any other questions, concerns from members? Concerns from community in person? Community online? Okay, seeing none, mahalo, Senator. Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to Rep. Kitagawa's office. We have Kristen online.
Hi.
Hi,
So I'm Kristen. I'm one of Rep. Kitagawa's legislative aides. She's still at the Capitol for the triple referral deadline tonight. So I'll share a few updates and I can take any questions back to her. So thank you to everyone who completed our community survey. We received about 500 responses from community members and we're going through the survey results currently. So we plan to send out a mailer in March with the results from our survey. If you didn't take our survey yet, you can still find it. You can still fill it out until this weekend. The link to our survey can be found on our social media accounts or in last Friday's newsletter. Rep. Kitagawa has also introduced a handful of bills this session, so I wanted to highlight some of them. So first, HB 1816 is a bill that appropriates $5 million more to the cesspool compliance grant program to help people with cesspool conversions. A bill she introduced a few years ago created this grant program. HB 2361 is a bill that the Department of Land and Natural Resources asked her to introduce, which provides administrative support to the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council and requires the chairperson of the council to be selected by the voting members from among all voting and non-voting members on an annual and rotating basis, and requires that the council meet quarterly. Currently, a staff member from DLNR serves as the chair of the council. This bill is scheduled to be heard tomorrow at 9 a.m. by the Water and Land Committee. And then HB 1817 is the bill that I shared about last month, where Rep. Kitagawa has partnered with the sixth graders from Waiahole Elementary School to establish a statewide daily bag limit of 10 ama per person during the open season. So this bill will be scheduled for a hearing next week, Tuesday, when the students from Waiahole plan to visit the Capitol to testify. She also has additional bills that she introduced, which can be found on our social media accounts or in previous newsletter that was sent out. All the hearings and floor sessions can be watched on the Capitol YouTube channel, which can be found by going to capitol.hawaii.gov. If anyone has any questions for Rep. Kitagawa, I can take those questions back for her. Thank you.
Mahalo. Any questions from board members in person? Board members online? Okay, seeing none. Yeah, mahalo. If you could just keep us up to date for the K-Bay Regional Council one, HB 2361, just because we do have that on our agenda as a regular item. That'd be
Okay.
great. Mahalo. Any questions from community in person? Questions from community online? Okay, seeing none. Mahalo nui. Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to Windward Community College. Is Chancellor online? Hi, Chancellor, go ahead.
Aloha mai kako.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Thank you, Chair. Next month, I intend to be there in person. I miss seeing everyone in person. But this month, I have two pieces of really great news. So the first is Windward Community College received the fullest possible accreditation, which is 7 years. We got a commendation for serving Native Hawaiians in our community, and we had no recommendations for improvement or follow-up reports necessary. So I'm just going to share that because that's a big relief of administrative burden and all sorts of other things. And we want to thank all of our community that came out during the process and just our community in general, because that was what was really noticed, was how much apart we are and how much our community supports us. So thank you to each of you as well. And then the other is on March 31st, we are going to have the first ever Ko'olau Career Expo. It is an career expo for employers paying higher wages to help increase the earnings of not only Windward Community College alumni, graduates, but also of our community in general. So Ha'aheo Pagan is organizing that. I'll come in person for the next meeting and I'll bring flyers for everyone. But I wanted to announce it tonight because if you know or you are an employer and you have job openings and they pay $20 an hour or higher, we're interested in featuring you at the expo. We're going to do special invites for alumni for the past 5 years. We're also going to put together a resume book of those who are participating, community members and alumni, and give that to all of the employers so that they can look through resumes, especially if anyone couldn't attend. It's March 31st from 10 to 1. And I'll put inside the chat the email for the counselor Ha'aheo Pagan, who is arranging the employers and actually the whole event. We're really excited. It's the first time we've done anything like this.
Sounds awesome. Mahalo nui for the update. Any questions or comments from members in person? Members online? Community in person? Community online? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Chancellor. Congratulations on all the successes.
Mahalo.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We have Kaneohe Bay Regional Council. Any members, any updates from member Keone Machado? Is he online? Okay, we'll defer that one and roll that over to the next meeting for the update. Next up, we have U.S. Congress Rep. Joe Tokuda's office. Is Emily online? Okay, we'll roll over Senator Rep. Tokuda's office. And those updates. Then we'll have Kaneohe Marine Corps based Auntie Christie. Aloha.
Good evening, Chair, community members, and board members. Christy Kalohiva, Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Several updates. I wanted to thank all of the members. Thank you, Senator Awa, for a wonderful meeting with our CO. We attended the open house at the Capitol, and he was able to visit several of our senators, representatives. Well received. Thank you very much. He noted his importance in being here. However, this week and next week, we have several visits. Our commanding general from Okinawa is here, and so he is presently engaged, but he does hear you. Additionally, we have Ed Cases, Chief of Staff, also coming next week to view several of our installation needs for readiness. Coming up this weekend, we're hosting Makahiki. You ready? So we're happy to be able to continue to open the opportunity for our lineal descendants and community to come to participate in traditional practices. I also wanted to share that the Military Affairs and Community Relations Board has released their Impact 2025 Hawaii Military Impact Fact Book. This can be found online, very informational and very well written, lots of information to support both sides. Additionally, there is going to be 3 open houses in Hawaii. One will be in He'ia at Ulamau, March 4th. I will forward the invite to you folks so that you have it on your radar. Honolulu will be March 11th. And then they're also going to go outer island, looking at the Big Island, Kona side, probably in May. That one hasn't been totally solidified yet. That's all I have for right now, if you have any questions.
Mahalo. Any questions for Kaneohe Marine Corps base in person?
Mahalo, Auntie Christy. we don't necessarily need base commander himself. I think Uncle Dan was just asking previously for an active duty member to come here and there at times. And then also to follow up on the city and the state question of what protocols would look like should war come to Hawaii, I would assume that MCBH and the armed forces have things in place. Are there things in place they have for us as civilians?
I will get the answers, and I did ask Lieutenant O'Hara, who was there with the CO, if he would be here next month. So I will pose that question to him and we'll prepare something for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mahalo. Any other questions from board members in person? Uncle Rick? No. Board members online? Okay. Community in person? Community online? Okay, seeing none. Mahalo, Auntie Christy. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to community topics. First up, we have Office of Hawaiian Affairs 2026 legislative package. We have Michelle McCoy and then COO Keishan Kikino. Aloha.
Aloha mai kaku, o wau Keishan Kikina. No way lua mai au. Noho wau ma Kaneohe me ka'u pahinea me ka'u Maui keiki. My name is Keishan Kekina. I serve as the Chief Operating Officer of the Office of Foreign Affairs. I am from Wailua originally, and I currently live in Kaneohe. This evening, I do want to give a kind of a brief overview of our bill package. So you can take a look at the screen, and I will also be supplementing that with more information around the bills. So our first one is relating to island burial councils. So IBCs exist to protect Native Hawaiian unmarked burials that are often disturbed during construction. IBCs help decide whether disturbed burials should be preserved in place, relocated, or treated in another culturally appropriate manner. So after consultation with recognized lineal and cultural descendants, those decisions can be made. Unfortunately, smaller IBCs cannot reliably meet or take formal action due to current vacancies, delaying important decisions, including recognition of lineal and cultural descendants and project decisions. So those vacancies are very real and those exist right now. To address these issues, this bill authorizes OHA to provide stipends for MOKU representatives, which will reduce financial barriers to this service. And it also reforms the quorum requirements based on the numbers of seats that are currently filled. So councils can continue to meet and make decisions even when some seats are vacant. Go to the next slide, please. Yep. So relating to historic preservation, for decades, Hawaii law has required that projects that are likely to threaten burials or other historic sites be reviewed by the State Historic Preservation Division, also known as SHPD, before construction began. This early review process allows for the identification of burials and cultural historic sites before excavation when avoidance and preservation are still possible. Act 293 and 225 carved out broad and imprecise exemptions for properties that may lie in sensitive areas that are likely to contain burials, even if that may not be the initial intent. So essentially, this bill is actually removing that issue. So to narrow and minimize unintended negative consequences of this change, this bill would change the exemption to more specific target areas that are less likely to contain burials and cultural deposits. Next slide, please. Our third bill is relating to the Land Use Commission. So the Land Use Commission is responsible for making statewide zoning decisions over the best uses allowed on large land parcels. This bill would mandate that at least one Land Use Commission member has expertise in water resource management and empowers OHA to recommend candidates for the existing Hawaiian land use and cultural practice expertise seat. So essentially, this would give us a seat at the table. This would ensure critical water expertise informs land use decisions early in the planning process. Ki'iakaho, next slide, please. Okay, so relating to our commercial aquarium collection, the extraction of reef fish for export as aquarium pets removes important species from our reefs. These fish are needed for an ecosystem that is healthy and subsistence fishing and recreational tourism activities. This bill would permanently ban commercial aquarium collection while preserving the right to take fish for scientific and educational institutions or subsistence fishing. Commercial aquarium collection halted in 2018 pursuant to a court order, but could resume collection in West Hawaii under new rules proposed by DLNR within the year. This small industry, only 7 applicants would be permitted to harvest under the DLNR rules, imposes costly permitting and enforcement burdens on the state. A permanent ban would reduce the cost of policing bad practices that harm our reefs and ensure sustainability of fish stocks into the future. Ki'iakaho. Next slide, please. Okay, so our fifth bill, amend the Hawaii State Constitution to prohibit live fire military training. The public land trust is comprised primarily of former crown and governmental lands of the Hawaiian Kingdom. This bill would give the people of Hawaii the opportunity to protect public land through a proposed constitutional amendment that would ban military destructive live fire training. To amend the Constitution, a 2/3 majority of the legislature would need to approve a question to place on the 2026 ballot, and then a majority of all voters would need to vote on the ban. The proposed question is, shall the Constitution of the State of Hawaii be amended to provide that no destructive live fire military training shall be conducted on public trust lands as defined in Article 7, Section 4. And we've all been hearing a lot about that, so you can definitely pay attention to the news. We also have been doing community briefings on military live fire training. Our sixth bill is relating to rent stabilization. This bill would cap the rent increases at 3%, consistent with the average annual cost of living increase received by wage workers. This bill would exempt owner-occupied properties, Kuleana parcels, and regulated affordable properties to minimize impact on non-investment properties. This bill would prevent the type of rent gouging that was common on Maui following the Lahaina wildfires and would help to address the dramatic increases in rent prices between 2019 and 2024. So both Hawaii and Kauai County saw increases of 50% during this time period alone. This legislation is modeled after successful legislation in California, Washington, and also Oregon. And this concludes the briefing of our legislative package. Please, be present in the Capitol. We need all the support that we can get. And if you want to stay connected with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, please register for Kavaiola, and you can do that through our website at oha.org. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Any questions for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs from members in person? Ian, go ahead.
Any chance of ever getting the Island Burial Councils housed underneath OHA rather than under SHPD? Because we've seen some of the challenges and differences in the organization, in the decision making, and just in the flow of those meetings.
Yeah, mahalo for the question. And we are definitely paying attention to that keenly. I do want to defer to Michelle. Do you have an answer for if there's any progress?
I don't mean to put you all on the spot.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in this particular area. That's our compliance department. But I would say that the reason that it's under the current structure that it is because of the expertise that is needed on some of these projects, et cetera, and the way that the reporting occurs and whether or not the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has the capacity to provide that type of oversight. So that would be, like a bigger picture solution. But I understand what you're saying. And you can contact Kamakana Pereira, is our archaeologist in our compliance department, and he's well versed in all of these issues and could probably give you a more fleshed out answer regarding that. And we are working with Shipping. We have a much better relationship with them.
At present. So, okay, I really appreciate that update and understanding and well-spoken. The capacity is needed. I guess, is there a way to gain support for individuals whose cases are perhaps never maybe been decided on by the Island Burial Council, but perhaps been held up in SHPD indefinitely, and how we might get rulings on things like that? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's why we're doing the bill that we have, is to increase the power of the burial councils and the support that we'll have to give them to ensure that they are able to meet and be heard and going through the process. So the Office of Hawaiian Affairs does work with the burial councils, and it should be in the line. And we have a compliance department to ensure that compliance is met.
So any of those cases could be guided towards that compliance person.
Specific case that you're referring to that it has an issue, yeah, please contact our office, and we can direct it.
Great.
Is there a specific issue that
I've gotten inquiries from several various community members who have been a part of that process in the last 5 years, and so it's hard to know. So it's really great to see you. It's really great to have you here. Thank you so much for proposing these bills, especially taking away those kind of perhaps potentially low impact exemptions. I think it's really important to consider all of our INIs.
Well, the exemption kind of stuck in with amendments and, yeah, so we're trying to undo what was done, yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
And they are moving, those first three bills are moving through the legislature, and we do send action alerts out, so we do need supportive testimony for all of our measures.
Okay. Viola. That's how we get the. Thank you. I love her.
Okay.
Ill.
Mahalo. Vice Chair.
Mahalo, that is a truly exquisite packet. Just a quick question. When you're asking the legislator to set aside a seat for a water expert, are we determining a criteria for who the water expert would be? Are we talking about a PhD who is from somewhere else not here? Are we talking about somebody who Maupopo Vavai? Like, are we talking about a cultural expert? Are we talking about both? Because I feel like is that outlined somewhere? Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that the language in the bill itself provides for the criteria. And I think that what we are looking at is both, certainly. I think there's been a lot of problems with developments. And then we try to fix the water thing on the back end. And so this would take care of it on the front end. So that the land use commission has to understand, what capacity the water will take before they rezone or reauthorize any sort of new developments and things such as that. So it's very important. As we know from Maui, the water issues are really profound. So that's what we're trying to do with this, because the LUC is state level, not county, which is, it's sort of piecemeal right now in the water system.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. Any other questions, concerns, or from members in person? Members online.
Chair.
Hi. 1 second, Donald. Give me a sec. Community in person, anyone? Okay, Donald, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I follow a lot of bills at the legislature. According to this bill, where is it? Did it have a first reading, and then where does it go? Does it go to Ways and Means, Finance? What's the next step?
You're referring to the LUC bill. It was just heard in the House, the Water Land Committee, and it did pass with just a defective date. So it is moving through the legislature, and that's why I'm recommending that if you folks can look on our website, oha.org, we do have a way of accessing, where things are, because it moves rather quickly. But this week it was heard, and we did have it wasn't killed or anything like that. So it's still alive as far as the bill goes on the House side.
And then one more question. How was the testimony? Was it all in favor, or you had some people?
Yeah,
against?
we had a lot of good testimony, and we do send action alerts out so that we try to tell the community that this bill is coming up, and we give sample testimony, et cetera, so that we can get a lot of supportive testimony for our bills.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Appreciate you guys. We'll go ahead and move on to the next point on community topics. We have Yabusami Hawaii event. Is Bob here? Hello, Bob. You can go ahead and take the mic.
Thank you, Chair Spencer and members of the board. My name is Bob DeWitz. I'm representing Honolulu Foundation, which is a nonprofit that for the past 20 years has been building bridges of understanding, cultural understanding between Hawaii and Japan, particularly by bringing lesser known elements of the Japanese culture to our community. And this year we have something really, really special, Yabusami, or traditional horse-mounted archery. And within Japan, Yabusami is considered probably one of the most iconic and exciting of the historical cultural practices. And it is rarely performed outside of Japan. It's been performed in London. It's been performed in Moscow prior to the war. And the only time it's been presented in the United States was actually in a tremendous act of Kahalu'u diplomacy, I'll call it. 30 years ago, with the generous support of Kahalu'u Ranch, it was performed here in Honolulu. And we are fortunate to be able to bring it again with the support of Kahalu'u Ranch to the community. And so we wanted to, it's going to be performed this time at the ranch rather than in town. So we did want to brief you on what it was, when it's going to be. So Yabusami will be performed June 14th. That's a Sunday at Kahalu'u Ranch. The Saturday prior, the Yabusami performers will be in the King Cam Parade downtown and also do a small demonstration in Kapiolani Park. Next slide, please. So what is Yabusami? It really goes back to the practices of the samurai. The particular group that's coming here is called the Ogasawara Ryu School. And that same family lineage for 850 years, starting with teaching the shoguns back in the Middle Ages, the 32nd and 33rd generation of that family is going to be here leading this exhibition for us. So it's really a unique opportunity to see this cultural practice. They wear traditional costumes from the Middle Ages. It's really exciting. Next slide, please. So, yes, so the Ogasawara Ryu group, amazing history of the family. Just only in Japan do you have 32 generations of one family carrying on the tradition. We've got a little quick video clip so you can get a little flavor of what it is. Hopefully it'll play. If it doesn't, I'll gallop around the room for you, but that wouldn't be nearly as exciting. Sound would be good. Do we know that sound? Oh, okay.
This is an interesting question. The horses are going to be their horses?
They're ranch horses. Yes. Anyway, obviously we're having a little trouble with the video, but the course is 1,000 feet long. The archers take off and gallop at full speed, and along the course they have to fire 3 arrows at the targets. And the best practitioners are able to like load an arrow and shoot it in like 5-6 seconds. Pretty amazing. Really, where it impacts the community and what we wanted to tell you about is traffic, right? So that's the setup. You're all pretty familiar with the ranch. The highway's at the bottom. The red line is the course where the horses are going to run. And wisely, experienced folks at Kahalu'u Ranch advised us to put a visual barrier all along the road, that kind of aqua line you see right next to the road. So that's going to be an 8-foot tall visual barrier to stop the rubberneckers so it doesn't slow down the traffic, you know? So I thought that was a great idea, but folks there, obviously they've been around. So that's what it's going to look like in terms of the physical setup, and we will be starting to distribute tickets shortly. It's not a profit-making thing. The ranch isn't making money. We're not making money. It's basically open to the community for a nominal donation through the website, and the only reason we're requiring that is so we can keep track of the numbers so we don't get too many. Last slide there. We are starting the event at 12:30 with some free entertainment, and the main event is at 2. 12:30 the gate opens, right? And then there's some pre-entertainment. And we're doing that to try to distribute the traffic flow so there's not a huge glut of people all kind of rushing in just before the start of the event. And then at 2 o'clock, the main event starts and it'll be concluded at 4. Website, HonoluluFoundation.org. You can see the video with sound. In a few days, you'll be able to get a ticket, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
Mahalo. Any questions from from board members in person? Board members online? Community in person? Community online?
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So, this is Don Sakumo. Thank you for your presentation. I just want to, besides the traffic flow, how is the parking there at Kola Ranch? Do they have enough to park all these vehicles and the amount of people be coming? How's that situation?
Some of the people will be coming by bus. We don't have an exact ratio between buses and cars, but we have worked with the ranch to make sure that we have sufficient parking.
And last question, you will have officers for special duties to help control people going in and out with the traffic flow.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mahalo. Yeah. Member Bender? How many?
Max 500.
Max 500 people in attendance. Okay. Any other questions? Board members in person? Anybody in person online? Okay, mahalo. Thank you very much for your presentation. Appreciate it. Just a quick reminder, since we are in the presentation portion of the meeting, if you guys want to grab anything to eat, please feel free. We do have potluck items brought by some of our members. So just go ahead and help yourself. Uncle Rick, quick question.
Chair, I just wanted to say before people start leaving, we had an overabundance of rambutan on our property. So I brought 2 big full bags. Please help yourself. There's plenty there to go around. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Brown bags over there in the back. Okay, we're going to go ahead and proceed. We have the Genki Ball research findings from Carmela Vizza from the last meeting. Carmela, if you want to go ahead and take the mic whenever you're ready, and then we'll allow some folks some time to go ahead and make a little plate. Yeah, if you can grab them. Yeah. Is Carmela here to do the presentation? Yeah. Mahalo.
Okay, perfect. Aloha, Mai Kako. My name is Dr. Carmela Vitsa, and I am an environmental science professor at HPU. Next, please. I'm here today on behalf of a team of undergraduate and graduate researchers and my colleague, Dr. Olivia Nigro, who's online. Next. So we have a lot of data and I only have 7 minutes, so I'm gonna cruise through, but we're sharing our slides with you so you can take a deeper look later. But just as a reminder, Genki Ball is made of soil and rice bran and molasses and effective microbes, or EM. EM Hawaii LLC says that their EM is made of predominantly lactic acid bacteria, yeast, and phototrophic bacteria, which they claim is their workhorse for remediation purposes. Next, please. So as many of you know, the Genki Alawai project began in 2019. Their goal was essentially to make the Alawai fishable and swimmable again by this year. And they have deployed close to their goal of 300,000 Genki balls across many locations across the Alawai. Next, please. And here is some of the data from the Genki Alawai project website. It's one of the claims that they make that the Genki balls are working, because you can see the sludge depth decreasing over time. But this information was not collected in a systematic or rigorous way. And I would love to tell you more about that. So ask me a question. Next, please. So another thing they use is the enterococci levels from the Blue Water Task Force. And generally what they've shown is that the compliance with DOH standards has been increasing over time. But if you really dig deeper into that data, what you find is about 40% of the variation in the percentage of these samples that are meeting the DOH compliance rules, that is actually explained by rainfall in the year. So we know that more rainfall, right, in urban waterways brings a lot of pollution. And so it's really important when you're doing a study like this to be able to explain the temporal seasonal variation and to control for waterfall, or to at least account for that, which is something that they have not done yet. And there's also, they don't really show any before data, right? Their project started in 2019, and there are no control sites, which means there weren't there weren't any sites without Genki balls that were actually measured. So next slide, please. This is one of the reasons that we were really excited to try to contribute to the knowledge about Genki balls. And we got asked to do a project by DLNR DOFA. And so we did both a tank and a field experiment. Next, please. And our two-year field experiment was in Kailua. We conducted monthly surveys 1 year, and then another year of monthly surveys after Genki ball deployment. We had 8 sites in Kailua, and 2 of them got Genki balls, and the Genki balls that we deployed were at a concentration and at a frequency that was recommended directly by EM Hawaii LLC. Next, please. So we measured a lot of things. We measured nutrients, we measured sediment organic matter in lieu of sludge depth. Next, please. But really what we found was that Genki balls did not improve water quality in the short term or a year after deployment. But when we looked at the precipitation events, often that was what was decreasing the water quality, which really echoes what we're talking about in the Alawai as well. Next, please. So we get this question a lot, like, should we just add a lot more Genki balls? Next, please. This is actually one of the beauties of our tank experiment. In addition to being able to control for a lot of environmental variation that would happen at a larger scale, we can actually manipulate the concentration of the Genki balls. So we did a dose that was 10 times higher than what was recommended. And then we did a lower concentration, which was what was more realistic for field conditions. And here you can see the dissolved oxygen levels. On top is the control tank. That means no Genki balls. You can see that it had the highest dissolved oxygen throughout the experiment after Genki balls were deployed. And that if you look within 2 weeks of Genki ball deployment marked by that dotted line, you see that the dissolved oxygen in the Genki ball tanks, both low and high, actually dropped to 0, which really is a concern when you're thinking about some of these native fish that we love, like the opu and ama. And those dissolved oxygen differences persisted even 3 months after Genki ball introduction. So that high concentration tank had about half of the dissolved oxygen of the control. Next, please. We found that Genki balls increased nutrients. They also increased total coliforms and E. coli. And if you're a visual person, there were really smelly algal blooms on top of these high concentration Genki ball tanks. So next, please. So we really wanted to dig into the microbial community by doing some DNA sequencing. Next, please. And here we're looking at the EM1 solution. Contrary to EM Hawaii's claims, we did not find that phototrophic bacteria, that workhorse that they said was there. The other thing too we found was that this is predominantly lactic acid bacteria. Okay, that's that dark blue bar. And then unexpectedly, there was this light blue bar we found, which was usually about in the range of 5 to 10% of Clostridium. Again, unexpected. Clostridium is a genus of bacteria that is anaerobic. That means that it makes its living without oxygen. It also tends to form spores. That means it's really hard to kill. And by the way, it also happens to have a lot of pathogens in that genus as well, including the ones that cause avian and human botulism. Next, please. So if we look at what's actually in the Genki ball itself, what we find is most of what we see in the ball is actually from the soil used to make the Genki ball. But if you look here, if the little red bar you see, that's what was EM derived, right, from the solution. Interestingly, you actually see more Clostridium from the EM than lactobacillus, which is surprising considering that I showed you how dominated the EM solution was by lactobacillus. Next, please. And then when we looked at our tanks at the end, what we really found is that very few of the EM-derived microbes persisted, except for the ones that we wouldn't want to, and those are the Clostridium species. One of the species, or one of the microbes that was found was most closely related to Clostridium intestinale, that is an emerging human pathogen. We were really concerned about this because we see lots of photos of keiki that are handling and making the balls without gloves on. And so please consider wearing gloves if you're handling this solution or Genki balls. Next, please. Looking for alternatives for volunteering. We have so many amazing AINA-based organizations in this MOCU. They're doing amazing work. I would offer those up. And then next, please. I did include some more links, including a podcast and links to a meeting. We did it at neighborhood board meeting. It's a whole hour if you want more, and you can email me. And then finally, I just wanted to acknowledge, I don't have enough room to mahalo all these amazing people, but mahalo for you all and for listening to me sprint through that 7 minutes or 8, sorry. Appreciate it.
Well, mahalo. Thank you very much. Any comments, questions, concerns from board members in person? Vice Chair, now take your time.
Kalamai, my mouth is full. Would you folks be interested in testing our water here and at the Kahalu'u drop?
I told Senator that we'd be willing to like at least consult and have a conversation about it.
Mhm.
And just, I'm waiting for him to follow up. And I don't actually know who's in charge of the project or who to contact. So, or even actually where the deployment is.
So it's right here at are you from this side?
I live on this side
So
currently.
it's at Kahiakahoy is
Mhm.
where the majority of the drops are happening, right off the side of Kahiakahoy.
Okay.
And it's not really anybody in charge. It's a community
Okay.
led effort. So I can get a hold of him if you folks are interested in sampling the water there as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Mahalo. Any other comments, questions, concerns, board members in person? Board members online? Community in person? Community online? Oh. Hey, Uncle Ken. Sorry, go ahead. Uncle Ken, no audio coming through from you. Can you unmute? Oh. Can you unmute him? Oh. Try to kind, Uncle Ken. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat or email them to Rachel, and then we can get your question answered. We're gonna move on. Any other? Oh, yep, Uncle Dan, go ahead. On the mic, please.
They did not improve water quality. They made it worse at higher concentrations. And the EM is not what the makers say that it is. And the microbes there don't really have the mechanism to improve the water quality, if that makes sense. Some are even possible human health concerns. I personally did not measure. Are you talking about the Alawai specifically? I mean, there are days when the Alawai has very high bacterial loads for sure. Yes.
Uncle Dan, I'm sorry. Can you ask the question on the mic, please? Mahalo.
So what practice will change as a result of what you just told us? In other words, the current practice is that when the kids get out of the water after paddling, they have to shower top to bottom and especially their feet. Is that what you continue to think would be the best?
I think that that's great. I mean, I didn't measure any of the water quality in the Alawai, but yes, I think rinsing is very good. Yes.
Mahalo. Any other questions? In person? Online? Okay, seeing none, mahalo, Carmela. Thank you for your presentation. Mahalo. We're going to go ahead and move on to residents and community concerns. We have the Kula Ranch excavation concern from Kamuela Kala'i. I did get an email from her just before this saying that she couldn't make it today. But I'll go ahead and read out the email that was sent to me in regards to this. And this was tagging onto something that Member Masterson had requested last month as well. So the email reads, Aloha mai, I'm requesting that John Morgan of Kualoa Ranch be invited to the February 2026 Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board meeting to discuss the newly created structure on the Ko'olauloa side, hillside of Kualoa Ranch. I have observed at least 2 heavy machines performing work on the hillside, which appear to involve digging into the mountain and grading the area below it. What was once an undisturbed natural and sacred historic mountainside now features a man-made structure. And then there are photos attached to describe what she is referencing in the email. And so tonight we do have John Morgan from Kualoa Ranch here to address questions about the structure. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you very much, Chair and members of the public. Yeah, I think we all know that Kualoa is indeed a sacred area. You know, we do what we can around the whole ranch, actually, to do a lot of what we call cultural landscapes. Cultural landscapes could include what we call canoe plant feature farms. We could do a canoe plant feature farm. We've got one in Lower Ka'ava that's about 10 acres. In the very back of Ka'ava, that's about 5 acres right now. All kinds of different things. We build kauhale here and there. We do art features. I think everybody who drives by knows that Manaya Kalani, you know, Maui's fish hook is out in the front yard. We just commissioned local artist Jerry Vasconcelos to do a Makavalu sculpture. Artist Kahalu'u has carved a Malamaho Nua thing. And so we've got a lot of different cultural landscape features around. Right below this area, many years ago, we put up a kind of an ahu, and we have 4 ki'i representing Hu, Kane, Kanaloa, and Lono. Just above that, we have another ahu that is paying homage to Papa and Wakea. Another one very close by is another, you know, landscape feature that is more of a tribute to Lono, since you know, Kualoa is a site of the Makahiki and a training ground of chiefs. So we do what we can, and so the one that was just constructed again, you know, is Billy Fields, one of the renowned you know, heiau restorers and moss rock workers, you know, helped in this endeavor, and it's more to honor Kaneho'olani and the sun, and so so that's what it is. It's a cultural landscape feature. So, be happy to answer any more questions.
Mahalo. Any questions, concerns from board members in person? Member Masterson, go ahead.
So thank you for explaining that, John. Kala'i's main concern was considering permitting of these places and archaeological monitoring and surveying of these places. I mean, specifically, our question was to me, what is the structure, which you've explained, and did they have a permit to build it? And where did the rocks come from? So there's a lot of concerns about those kinds of things and what might be lost in building these modern representations of these cultural concepts.
Well, again, as many people may know, the entire hillside was covered with haulikoa. When we, you know, go up there, we do our own reconnaissance to make sure that we don't disturb anything. This was another place that there was nothing there beforehand, and so as a lot of people know, even on the Hakipu'u side, you know, we've grinded a lot we grind a lot of pastures. That's how we go in with we got 2 excavators and they've got grinders on them, and we try to remove all the non-native you know, species. We'll leave the hollow, we'll leave this, we'll leave any walls that we see, anything. So So that's the process that we went through. And so, yeah, we cleared the pasture, didn't find anything and went in. And yes, it is a modern, cultural landscape. It's not, we don't try to pretend that it's something that's ancient. We're doing our interpretation to try to, do what we can in this day and age to honor our culture and our past.
Thank you for explaining that. It's when you say our own reconnaissance, that's what's really concerning is who's doing the reconnaissance? Where's the due process of an archaeological reconnaissance survey, for instance? Do you have an archaeologist working for you on these particular things? With reference to the tree grinders, they have been quite extensive up there. They reach 20 feet off the pathways and have actually grinded down rocks on Pu'akea'eheao at the top corner there by the road that was recently paved that goes across the top of Pu'akea. I could see the argument for that, and yet, it's shocking and dismaying to see tar above that ancient National Register historic site. So I understand your efforts are, in good faith and in culturally kind of oriented. But there is a due process that we have in the state for that. And so, seeing evidence of that or understanding the statement, we can go walk around. But if there's somebody who is qualified to do so, that'd be much better. The first platform y'all built there, when we were up there together, I came back a couple weeks later to visit after showing you a crevice, a rock walled crevice that, disappeared under the structure. The next time I was there, I was shocked and asked about it. And, those are real concerns and real sites that are being lost to these controlled, reinventions or.
Yeah, again, I respect what you're saying. I don't think, again, there's no sites that were lost that I'm aware of at all anywhere. For an example, we're always, again, improving pastures everywhere. And in the process of improving the pasture in Ka'ava, we noticed the site. And so we hired an archaeologist to come in and to take a look at the site. So we're not, we have hired archaeologists in the past, and we'll continue to hire archaeologists in the future when there's a known site that we think is worth looking into. There's walls all over the place, and we don't disturb the walls, but we're not going to get an archaeologist to look at every wall just because that's a big lift to get an archaeologist to look over 4,000 acres, and so when we see something like in this particular case, it just looked a little different. And so, we're curious. We want to honor the culture and we want to know about it. And so we'll do what we can to understand it better.
Mahalo. Member Bender, and then we'll go to Vice Chair.
When you discover a rock that you think is sacred, do you move it or do you put it back where it was?
A rock that's sacred. There's probably plenty of people, including myself, that think they're all sacred. I do believe that that there's mana in rocks, and mana can be enhanced, and so sometimes if you take a look at Stonehenge, they obviously felt that something is greater good is going to happen if they arrange things, and so I personally am not averse to moving a rock. I think, we just had the Abasame here and a culture like the Japanese and even a culture like Hawaiians, they moved rock quite a bit. And so I don't think moving a rock is a bad thing. To answer your question, all of the rock came from that place.
Mahalo. Any other? Oh, Vice Chair. Sorry.
Mahalo, Kalama. I'm trying to start the time on myself. That's not working. I just want to summarize what Member Masterson was kind of saying. So maybe in the event where an archaeologist is too heavy a lift, as you stated, maybe calling a lineal descendant for something that is questionable might suffice. I'm not sure if community would be satisfied with that. What do you think, Member Masterson?
You know, it's an interesting thing to look at your first statement that all of Kualoa is sacred, and then to not be willing to do the left, to have even a cultural practitioner, as you said, or a descendant, a cultural descendant, a lineal descendant, or a state recognized archaeologist there with you. I believe that all of Kualoa, as an Ahupuo, Akulo, and Hakipu'u, are considered the mana of Oahu, and we're given a state in our state historic register number. It's on the state inventory of historic places. And just having one of those numbers would require having at least a reconnaissance survey of all 4,000 acres done. When you see a well and you're curious about it, there's no doubt about it because nobody's been up there, you know, since those times. It's your family or your employees that may have built it, or it came before then. And it's a small ask from the Hawaiian community to have somebody who's recognizing that prior to making decisions, to moving those stones. And there are many cases that are quite concerning, especially, you know, in particular, the rocks grinded at Puakea. So, you know, it really, we talked about it in 2010, I believe, this idea that things were happening because the operators didn't know and stones were disappearing that were even in sites of Oahu from McAllister survey. Speaking of a fishing shrine that was up Mauka near the Kong helicopter, but gone. So, you know, please consider having an archaeologist on board. I know it's expensive. It's definitely worth the value, and your expansion should warrant that kind of respect. Even the new roads that you're putting all over up Mauka. You know,
Mahalo.
please.
Any other questions, board members in person? Board members online? Okay. Quick question. The rocks was coming, you said it came from the same spot. And then you said you had an archaeologist on site at one point.
For the
The other things.
Other area, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Mahalo nui. Yes.
One concern, John, I just ask this out of respect as a different community concern that involves Johnson Road specifically. And people, in particular, my 15-year-old son has been denied twice going down Makai to the.
Hold on. Can I get a point of order? That's not on the agenda. We're talking about
Yeah.
the structure. If you want to talk about that, we can put that on the next one.
Got it.
Chair.
Or community concerns.
Let's just solve that problem, please.
Mahalo nui.
Chair.
Sorry, yes. Someone on Donald.
Yeah, Donald Sakuma, thank you for the presentation. You know, with the 21st century technology nowadays, you know, they can do ocean floors and scan the bottom. Can we do anything on the land where you can scan the that area to see if there's any rock formation or anything that's cultural ahead of time? I don't know how much that would cost, but did you explore that capability?
I had heard of something called LiDAR, but I'm not sure. I think that's an underground kind of like sonar thing. But no, I haven't looked into doing that.
Okay, maybe just to look into it and see how much it costs and if it's feasible, and maybe it might be a better way to see the cultural aspect of your property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo, Donald. Uncle Ken, question about the excavation concern at Kualoa Ranch.
Yeah, there's the LiDAR works with uneven surfaces, although it's usually foliage that it penetrates. And then there's ground penetrating radar, which usually works best on flat surfaces. But there are ways in which both of those could be used depending on where you're looking, because you do have a lot of foliage up there, and you have uneven terrain and you have even terrain. So both of those could be options. Mahalo.
Uncle Ken. The questions, concerns, recommendations for the Kualoa Ranch. John Morgan. In person, online. Okay. Mahalo nui. We're going to move on. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Moving on to board business. Do we still have quorum? Checking on that. Yeah. Okay, shoot. I did want to, if Auntie Christie's still here, did you have anything that you wanted to address on the Kaneohe Marine Corps base water use and request for updates? I know that this was something that Uncle John wanted to bring up, and he had a few questions specifically, but if you wanted to just kind of make any statement on behalf of the Marine Corps base, go ahead.
The last time I was here, I reported that the website, there's a report that they're working to submit with new updates. I did not check to see if that is now current. I apologize. I will see what that update is. Just as a refresher and a reminder and a perspective, same thing I reported last month is that when they say that the water usage for Marine Corps is the largest, there's 1 meter. We have 1,700 employees, 4,000 family members, and an additional couple of thousand service members. So all of those individuals use the one line. So that's that one, large amount. I can tell you that we are very diligent to put in water saving fixtures. We just renovated our office, which is 1940, and the termites are holding everything else together. But we have new sinks, but the water comes out real little bit. Like can we fix this? And they go, no, that's the way it's supposed to be. So there are a lot of measures being taken that even for the civilians that are there working to save water. And for the report, we'll have an update next month.
Mahalo. Any other questions, concerns regarding this topic from board members? In person or online? Question from Summer. We have a hand raised online. Summer, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Summer. We didn't see your hand up earlier. If you have any kind of question or concern, just go ahead and throw it into the chat. Then we'll address it as such. Okay. Yeah, just throw it in the chat and then we can get that over to John. Mahalo.
Sure.
Donald, is this a question relating to Kaneohe Marine Corps base?
Well, I just want to know, are you taking any more comments or anything from the community?
Not right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mahalo. Thank you very much. Auntie Christie, okay. Mahalo. I'll talk with Uncle John and see what if anybody else wants to continue this discussion. If not, we'll consider that addressed and then move on. We have creation of the Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board number 29 board member contact list. That's happening online with the Neighborhood Commission office, and so we will go ahead and get that. We'll likely either have the link available on our meeting agendas, or we'll go ahead and just direct you folks to a hard copy in the back. That'll be listed on the Neighborhood Commission office website, where you have pending the the enrollment of the member, the picture, phone number, address, mailing address, for any questions, concerns that you guys want to bring up as far as any board business on the agendas. So we'll go ahead and address that, and then get that done and try and make that a recurring thing for us as a resource. Any other discussion, questions, concerns relating that? Oh, yes, go ahead, Rachel.
The thing that's going to be on the website, is that the one with the bio? I mean, not the bio, but yeah, that is the bio, and then the picture. Okay, so that one we don't have phone number listed unless you put it publicly. That's the only one. You can just use that. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for the clarification, Rachel. Yeah, if there are any other questions relating to that, go ahead and just email Rachel or myself, and we'll get that over to you guys. Moving on to adoption of resolution requesting the installation of fresh water rinse or shower at He'ia Pier. I do have a resolution that was sent over from the Kaneohe Neighborhood Board, Uncle Donald, guys. So I think I gave out copies last time, but let me spread this out. I'm just going to go ahead and read this for transparency. We are replacing all of the sections where it does state that the Kaneohe Neighborhood Board number 30, we are going to be replacing that with the Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board number 29 in full verbatim support. Reading resolution requesting the installation of freshwater rinse or shower facilities at He'ia State Pier. Whereas He'ia State Pier is a popular public recreational facility in the Kaneohe Bay that supports numerous community users, including paddlers, fishers, boaters, divers, and visitors. And whereas the pier serves as a launch point and training site for multiple canoe clubs and individual paddlers who utilize the pier daily for cultural, recreational, and competitive activities. And whereas despite the high level of use and physical exertion associated with paddling activities, there are currently no freshwater rinse or shower facilities available to the public at Haiti State Pier. And whereas paddlers and other water users are exposed to brackish or saltwater conditions that can lead to skin irritation, bacterial growth, and general hygiene challenges with no rinse facilities are provided. And whereas the lack of freshwater rinse facilities can discourage responsible use and maintenance of personal and club-owned equipment, increase the potential for environmental contamination from users attempting to rinse gear in the ocean, and diminish the overall user experience of this important public resource. And whereas other state-managed harbor and pier sites, including Alawai Boat Harbor, Haleiwa, and Kihei Boat Ramp, have provided freshwater rinse or shower facilities for the safety, health, and hygiene of users, demonstrating the feasibility of similar infrastructure at Haiti State Pier. And whereas the Kaneohe community has expressed consistent support for improvements that sustain ocean access, cultural practice, and environmental stewardship in Kaneohe Bay, including the provision of basic amenities and promote safe and responsible recreation. Please note in that previous paragraph, we will replace Kaneohe community with Kahalu'u community to remain consistent. And then next we'll read, now therefore be it resolved that the Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board number 29 respectfully requests the Department of Land and Natural Resources, DLNR, Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation, DOBOR, to evaluate, plan, and install appropriate freshwater rinse or shower facilities at Haiti State Pier, and be it further resolved that this resolution be transmitted to the chairperson of the Board of Land and Natural Resources, the administrator of DOBOR, the governor of state of Hawaii, the state legislature delegation representing Kahalu'u, the city and county of Honolulu departments of parks and recreation, and other adjacent Ko'olaupoku neighborhood board for information and coordination. And be it finally resolved that the Kahalu'u Neighborhood Board number 29 stands ready to collaborate with DLNR, DOBOR, and community stakeholders to support the planning, design, and maintenance of these facilities, ensuring alignment with community values, environmental sustainability, and public health. This was submitted by Chair Mo Radke of the Kaneohe Neighborhood Board. We will be adopting with the previously mentioned amendments. Can I get a motion to adopt? Can I get a second? We have a moving second. We're going to take a roll call vote. Any discussion on it? Any further amendments you folks want to make to that reso? Any members in person or online? Okay, seeing none.
Okay. Say aye if you want to adopt this resolution. Okay, so Bender? Aye. Thank you. Aloha? Aye. Kubo? Aye. Devasser?
Aye.
Thank you. Arthur? Absent. And then Keone? Absent. Thank you. Let's see. Masterson? Aye. Makanai? Aye. Miller? Aye. Howell? Aye. Rapun? I think he's absent. Spencer? Aye. Winchester? Aye. And Fernandez? Thank you. So that's with 11 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstains. This resolution has been adopted.
Mahalo, mahalo nui for the support. Hopefully we get that moving soon and we see those showers pop up at our local recreational facilities. We're going to move on to the discussion of board committees. So last time I did want to go ahead and read. This is from the neighborhood plan regarding committees. And so just for transparency and for everyone's record, relating to committees, this is going to be section 2-14-124. It reads, committees, the board may establish committees from among its membership and the public without regard to place of residence. The committee chair shall be a member of the board. The committee members shall be appointed by the board. At a duly noticed meeting, the board chair may establish committees and appoint members when none exist and none are established or appointed by the board. B, committee responsibilities shall include but not be limited to the evaluation of matters presented to the board, information gathering, and initiation of proposals for the consideration of the full board. C, the board chair shall be a non-voting ex officio member of all committees unless otherwise directed by the board. D, committees shall report to the board at board meetings the committee's activity findings, recommendations, and means by which any recommendation was determined. E, no committee may speak for the board unless specifically authorized by the board. F, the presiding officer of the committee or the committee may expel any individual who engages in disruptive, disorderly, contemptuous, or improper conduct at any committee meeting. G, committees shall prepare meeting notices, agendas, and minutes and shall hold meetings at places reasonably accessible to the public. Committee minutes shall be filed with the Neighborhood Commission Office within 30 days after the committee meeting. H, committees expire at the end of each board term unless directed to expire earlier by the board. If you guys want a copy of that, you guys can reference the neighborhood plan. That's going to be on the NCO website for us as members. If you guys want a hard copy, I do have hard copies here as well. Just come see me. Yeah. We do have the members right now, so please take note as it's written in the neighborhood plan that basically these members do not need to reside in Kahalu'u. They do not need to be members of our current neighborhood board. And so if you folks, this is an opportunity for us to engage in experts, subject matter experts in anything that is regarding these committees that we have decided to create, right? So we're looking at a couple of different ones. We have Committee on Legislation with Jesse as chair, Committee on Budget and Finance with member Daniel Bender as chair. We have Committee on Hawaiian Affairs with M. Ku'upoli Fernandez as chair, Committee on Social Media with Halia Maikealoha as chair, Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure with Uncle Ken Lavassier as chair, and then we have a vacant chairmanship for the Committee on Land and Natural Resources, which we will still, we're going to go ahead and take a discussion and determine what we want to do as far as that. Right. So for those chairs that I just mentioned, who are currently filling those roles, mahalo. And then also please think about your members. Think about meeting dates and when you folks want to go ahead and convene those committees. And then please just go ahead and we'll go ahead and think about purview language as far as whatever we want to reference to committee before we reference it over to the board. Looking at any of that, any discussions on D item 1?
So when we're meeting, we don't necessarily have to meet at any specific time because if you don't have membership, you can't really meet. So currently I have no membership. It's just me. So obviously I'm not going to put out minutes for myself, but we can still report on these things if we have mana'o on them. I think we have a point of order where we establish the Committee on Education, but the way on which the education will be distributed will be through social media, which has to be a specific committee called the Committee on Social Media or the Social Media Committee per the neighborhood plan. Is it the neighborhood plan or an update and amendment on the neighborhood plan? Anyway, so I believe we need to take a vote on changing the name of the Committee on Education to the Committee on Social Media. Is that correct? Okay. And also we recommend that we combine. I also am going to recommend that we combine the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure with the Committee on Land and Natural Resources because those things go hand in hand because we can't get a new highway or new infrastructure without first considering land and natural resources. So Uncle Ken, if you have any discussion on that and whether or not you'd be willing to take on the dual responsibility of those items.
Yeah, an example is drainage is infrastructure. And conservation of our wetlands is conservation. And so that's our biggest drainage infrastructure. And so a lot of what we do is with our wetlands. So it fits right in. And a lot of stuff is being done in that area.
Right on. Uncle Ken, so are you okay with the title of Committee on Transportation, Infrastructure, Land, and Natural Resources? Were you all right with that?
Why don't we just have conservation and infrastructure? Because transportation is a major component of infrastructure, and conservation is what you got to do in order to have your infrastructure function. So just conservation and infrastructure. Just limit it to that name.
Okay, mahalo nui.
But in terms of what we deal with, maybe that would be like a subtitle or something, so people would know the kind of stuff that, what committee to go to.
Okay, mahalo nui.
Did I,
So noted. Yeah.
can
go
I
ahead.
ask, did we miss a vote? I don't know if I missed it. About having a chair. Has anybody come forward, or was that first item number one that I missed?
I don't know if you had come forward in the last couple of meetings, so
Okay.
you would, but if you're interested in figuring out the thing, I'll just bring it.
Yeah, well, if it stays the way it is, I'll take it on. If you want to combine them and you think that the two are related, then I'll talk to Ken and come forward next time if that's appropriate, whichever you want to do.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and yeah. Can I get a motion? We're gonna do two things here. If I can get a motion to approve the committee on social media as it is so named in the agenda, I'll take that motion. Mahalo nui. Anyone in objection to the motion? Seeing no objections, do we need a second, Rachel? Okay, can I get a second on the motion?
Second.
Yeah, we've so moved by member Makainai and then seconded by Bender, Masterson. Okay. All in favor, can I get an aye? Aye. Any noes? Seeing noes. Give us 1 second while we confirm the needed motions. For the record, we did have the approval of the name change, Committee on Social Media. Okay. Mahalo for confirmation. So we're good on the name change for Committee on Education to Committee on Social Media. And then I do like the idea of just keeping transportation. What did we have? What was the name that Uncle Ken suggested? The Committee on Conservation and Infrastructure. And then would you be interested in doing two chairmanships with Member Masterson for the same committee to split up the Kuleana? Or did you want to take that on? Or vice chair, or I can take any kind of
Co-chair?
motion.
So I thought that we didn't have a chair for that committee, and I was just absorbing the workload.
We didn't, but that was a discussion that was also mentioned as an alternative.
Well, I have no problem with Ian working in any capacity. He's a great guy.
Thanks, Ken. I love working with you too. I'm good there.
Okay. So do you have any preference, Uncle Ken? Would you rather have it separate or together?
I think let's try it with him doing it. His one, and then I'll still. Well, we can go back to transportation and infrastructure if you like.
Okay, sounds good. So for the record, we're going to go ahead and maintain the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure as is with Ken Lavasser as chair. And then looking at the Committee on Land and Natural Resources, we do have a self-nomination for Member Masterson to chair that. Can I get a motion and a second? And a second? Mahalo. We have a motion seconded by Member Makainai, seconded by Bender. Go ahead and take the vote. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Recognizing all ayes, no nos, we have unanimous decision. Mahalo nui. Mahalo for your willingness to serve.
I'll still back you up, Ken. No worries.
So we do have chairmanship for all of our committees. Mahalo nui for everyone for being open and willing to look at that. Please again think about your members, think about meeting dates if you guys have purview language in mind. Basically the purview language that I have currently right here comes from the Senate handbook as they kind of purview out their committees. Basically, so the Committee on Legislation is reflected from the Committee on Government Affairs. Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure comes from Senate Committee on Transportation. Budget and Finance comes from Committee on Ways and Means. Committee on Hawaiian Affairs comes from the Committee on Hawaiian Affairs, as it is now. Committee on Education as well. So we'll change it to the Committee on Social Media and those purviews as they apply for our social media page. And then the Committee on Land and Natural Resources comes from Water and Land Committees. So if you guys are unfamiliar with those, you guys go and check those out on capital.hawaii.gov. Those are referenced there. If you guys want a hard copy, I do have that as well. Just come and see me. Any questions, concerns? Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on. We have the approval of Wednesday, October 8 regular meeting minutes. Are there any amendments to those meeting minutes that we need to make? Seeing none, can I get a unanimous approval? Can I get, all in favor say aye? All opposed say no. Okay, recognize unanimous approval on October 8 regular meeting minutes. Moving on, we have the approval of Wednesday, January 14th regular meeting minutes. Any amendments made to those? Anyone wanted to go ahead and put out there right now? Okay, seeing none, we'll take the same verbal approval. Can I get all in favor say aye? All
Aye.
opposed say no. Recognizing all in favor. We do have a question before we move on to sub-district reports. I see a community member question with the hands raised. Marie, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Sakamoto had asked before about continuation of the community concerns. You said it would be continued. Is it continued before your POW, or can we continue now?
Yeah, we can go ahead and continue now. We had right before we do sub-district reports. Any concerns that we wanted to
Mahalo,
touch base on? Yes.
Mahalo, Chair. Yeah, this is actually to the entire board. Though many of you don't really know who I am, but I've been working with the board for over a decade on community emergency response. And one of the things that the Kaneohe Kahalu'u team is working on is improvement in communication systems. And I know it's been brought to your attention as a board before, and we as a team consider you representatives as such vital links to the needs of the community. And my query is to you members is how are you doing with non-traditional communication systems? Meaning if everybody goes down, your towers, you lose your phones, you lose your internet, what are you working on with family radio systems, the old walkie-talkies, or the new Starlink and or mesh tech? Thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Marie. Marie, everybody knows who you are. You're so funny. So we personally just purchased walkie ham radios for my family, and we also purchased crank ham radios just for radio capabilities, signaling, and charging stations. These are relatively reasonably priced on Amazon. I think I got each set for roughly $25. That's something I recommend that everybody get because it actually doesn't take a major event for us here in our rural community to go without communication devices. So that's where I'm at. That's where I recommend the rest of us get to if we're not there already. And then also maybe excessive, but maybe not. When we get flood events, I would recommend that everybody have an EPIRB because if you go floating down the street in your car and you have no way to get a hold of anybody, at least you can hit your EPIRB. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have anybody, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody from Key Project here tonight, do we?
No, we do not.
I think they have a program on Tuesday that's with Food Bank, Hawaii Food Bank, in order to link the communities together in case of an emergency by Starlink. I strongly advise the members to attend if they can. Contact Key Project about when this is due.
Mahalo.
Because I got cut off. I could not communicate, even with ham radio, during last week's wind. So, thank you.
Mahalo, Marie.
Right.
Any other comments, questions, concerns from members relating to Marie's issue?
To your point, apologies for the abrupt disappearance from last month's meeting. Our power went out, and so we no longer had communication. Right, exactly. So, to point granted there.
Thanks, Ian.
Mahalo. Thanks again,
Sure.
Marie, for your concerns.
Sure.
Who's that? Donald?
Sakamoto, thank you for Marie talking about CERT. You know, I'm with the her group, the CERT group there on the Windward side. I'm a blind individual, and I've been working with Marie and her gang to make sure to ensure that the kapuna and the disabled are represented in natural disasters. So we need to know who our neighbors are, who needs to get help, disabled, elderly. We need to help them to evacuate safely to shelters or out of the danger zone. And that's my pet peeve. Yeah.
Mahalo. Thanks again, Donald, and thanks again to you as well, Marie, for raising the concern. Is there any other, let's see, any other community concerns before we move on?
Sakamura again.
Yes, go ahead, Uncle Don.
Yeah, Donald Sakamura. A long time. I'm the president of Citizens for a Fair AD Ride. I deal with public transportation. I've been a rider of public transportation, bus, handy van, and for a long time, since 26 years. Advocating for public transportation, bus, handy van, Skyline for our disabled and elderly Kampuna. We're having a meeting next week, Thursday, the 19th, at 1050 Queen Emma Street, between 9:45 to 11:45. And we're going to have Department of Transportation Service representatives, all transit services representatives, to give presentation of what's going on with our public transportation, bus, handy van, and Skyline. And this is a great dialogue for you to come out to have either in person or virtually Zoom. So, Chair, I will send the information as to work on the agenda. I have to send it out by this week. And you can share it with your members and the community later on, whoever you have online. But that's my kuleana for now. Thank you.
Uncle Donald. Any other comments, questions, concerns for community topics? Board members, community members. Okay, seeing none. Mahalo nui. We're gonna go back into our agenda, get back to sub-district reports. We have sub-district 1. Any reports?
So John's not here. Chair, I got an email from, or a text from Summer. Oh, sorry. I got a text from Summer apologizing when she tried to turn her mic on. It kicked her off the meeting. So she still shows, but she's not able to log back in or put in the text. She did briefly summarize her concerns and questions for item number 7. Am I able to read those quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. With the preamble there, concern regarding Kahalu'u Ranch excavation. Although I'm not familiar with the specific area being discussed, I do have several concerns I'd like to raise. Permit and archaeological oversight. I'm concerned about whether the excavation was done under the proper permit, specifically a special use or conditional use permit. It's also important to know what archaeological firm was used for reconnaissance in this area to ensure that any potential cultural sites or historically significant elements are properly assessed and preserved. Cultural and spiritual significance, While Kahalu'u Ranch has provided explanations regarding the excavation, it's essential to recognize that the pohaku in this area do hold mana and are significant. Many of these pohaku are burial stones, birthstones, and other culturally important markers that hold deep spiritual and historical significance. These pohaku play a vital role in our connection to the land, and it's crucial that they are respected and preserved. I appreciate your time and attention to these concerns, and thank you for considering them as part of the ongoing conversation. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Thank you for the transparency. We'll go ahead and take Summer's questions and get them over to John Morgan, who was here earlier. He is not here anymore, so we'll make sure that we kind of get those questions addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I apologize for speaking out of turn with regards to the other issue that has been raised many times over the last year. So perhaps we can put on the agenda to reaffirm the existing right-of-way for community residents on Johnson Road, Malcolm Mackay down to the ocean. With the knowledge of all the residents of not only the Kuleana access down Kanohoana Hopu Path, but also the right-of-way for the property owners where the stream goes along their property, as well as a public right-of-way at the bottom of the road going through their property. It's an easement heading down to the right-hand side of the property. Thank you. Yeah. Was anybody recording that? That was really good. Come on now. I only got 30 seconds, Okay. I will help you with that afterwards.
Yeah,
just email.
that'll
me
help
and
just get
I'll
the
send it
agenda
over to
language
you.
correct. Yeah, we'll get that on the next one, and then
There it goes.
I'll
on the
work with you
public
for the
record.
correct one.
Thank you so much.
No, easy, guys. Thank you. Anything else for Sub-District 1?
None that I know of at this time, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Sub-District 2? Sub-District 3?
I I just want to raise a concern that I've gotten some, I guess, people have brought up the concern of having vehicles, not vehicles, but let's say trailers or apparatuses that do not move without a vehicle parked along the state highway, along Cam Highway. I just want to know who is responsible for their, or who do we go to if we have a complaint about it? And if it is blocking the view of the traffic in either direction, how long it can be there on the side of the road, what does the spacing look like? I mean, that area usually 10 feet from the road is not belonging to the resident, correct? So we want to know who's responsible for that and who do we contact?
Okay, so I think we're gonna definitely have to figure out the jurisdiction
Yeah.
depending on where it is, but you can always call HPD to come write that ticket and tow
Yeah.
that car or tow that vehicle.
So the
Yeah,
boats-
because especially if they're in the right of way,
Right.
then we just call HPD and they'll figure it out from there, or they need to figure it out from there for us.
Okay, and then with the storm this past week, and past 2 weeks actually, the police officers have been along the highway where that where it kind of the trees kind of cover on the way to 7-Eleven. The same telephone pole we've been talking about is still leaning and it's still there, and the police officers were there blocking the road, but nothing happened. It's still right. They left, and nothing was done about it. And so I'm just curious. We weren't sure who was responsible for that, which utility company. Right, but right. So they made like something was going to happen. They made like they were going to take care of it just because it was leaning so badly the other day, during the storm, and nothing happened. And so they just kind of stopped the traffic for a minute, but then the next day it was in the same position. So
That's Hawaiian Electric.
the 311 is not working at this moment.
The very first night and I couldn't get in, but I didn't try again. So I guess I should try if they're saying it's, yeah. Yeah, because I
Let's try to utilize, they're telling us to use 311, so let's try to do it. And if it doesn't work, screenshot that bad boy that it's not working. And then let's go ahead and follow up with the city officials, because that's a city thing. And then let's also go ahead and CC Hawaiian Electric because that's their jam. They got to take care of it.
All. That was 3. Uncle Ken, anything for Sub-District 4?
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You had a question?
Yeah,
about the Yankee balls, right?
we've had some updates on well, it's not in my district. Actually, all the news I have is not in my district. It's a committee, somewhat, but I wanted to comment on the Genki balls because I think some patterns that are scientific are not being followed. And I have some comments, but it would be too distracting here. But I did hear at the end of their comments that they were going to get together with the Lagoon Genki ball effort and have a discussion. And I think that would be more appropriate if I just went directly with them and had my discussion with them. So,
Vice Chair?
Yes, I already talked to Senator Wa's office manager, Betty. She's going to reach out to Dr. Carmela. So I can ask her to CC you on that if you want to go.
oh,
You
please.
want to do that?
Please.
Okay,
Well,
great.
I also have socialization issues, but I'm sure something can be worked out.
Mask up, 6 feet away. You're outside, Uncle Ken. I think you can do
Oh,
it.
as long as it's outside, that works.
You can do it. It's going to be outside. It's going to be at the project when they meet.
Okay,
More
great.
than
Thank
likely.
you.
Okay.
All. Nothing for me for Sub-District 4. Sub-District 5? Sub-District 6?
That's me. Yeah, cool. There were just 2 things that I brought up earlier, and one was about the HNL3. I need to report something with some curbs being broken, either by the bus or somebody broke some of the side curbing in in the road that's leading up to Times, the shopping center. The second thing that I wanted to bring up was, and then I was told to contact H&L Build regarding a map that I actually applied for online to get a map of the shopping center area to find out who is responsible for that canal that goes Mauka all the way to the road, to Kahekili Road, which is a city and county canal. And they told us that they're not cleaning it anymore because they're not going to be cleaning things that they're not responsible for. So when I asked for the map, they told me that I needed to pay for the map. So I guess I have to go to H&L Build and then find out the map where it's located and how I can get it.
I can meet with
also
you.
Uncle
I
Ken
can
is
meet
the
with
map
you
guy.
and I can meet with you and get you the ownership.
Okay, thank you very much. I would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks, Uncle
it's
Ken.
publicly available.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Uncle Ken. Molineux. No other sub-district reports to announce. Moving on, we have the next board meeting scheduled for March 11th, Wednesday, 6 p.m. here in this room. Molineux. Adjourn.
Congratulations. Great job, everybody.
Don't forget to grab